Hey everybody, I'm Nic Sanker and welcome back to the show. Got a great conversation lined up today, talking a little bit about life after football and the way that Princeton really helps people grow into who they want to be on and off the field. I've got a special guest with me today, a great friend and awesome teammate, Mark-Anthony Prescott. He's someone who really embodies resilience, and I'm super excited to hear his story and how Princeton has really shaped his experience. So, welcome, Mark.
Yeah, appreciate that. Glad to be on here and share a little bit about myself.
Yeah, I'm super excited to hear more of your story. Today, we're going to touch a little bit on just like how you got to Princeton and where you are. We're going to touch a little bit on the idea of imposter syndrome, whether that be at Princeton or in the working world. And then we're going to also touch a little bit on just overcoming adversity. Injuries has been a big part of your journey. And so touching on that and then finishing with just like how Princeton really has helped you achieve more than what you could even dream of before you even got here. So to jump right into the first section, yeah, I would love to just hear a little bit more of your story and share with more people about why you went to Princeton and kind of like how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, so I say it's very, very random. I got recruited late in my high school career, in which I didn't get my first offer till after my junior year. After I got my first offer, 3 weeks later, COVID happened, and they canceled all visits. And so it was very disheartening because it was like, oh, like this is like my opportunity comes, and then it's not like a waiting game, waiting for coaches to open up. And a lot of them were like, we're waiting to see you in person. We want you to like come on a visit, especially me getting recruited so late. Like coaches really, I just started coming on the radar. So the fact that they were able to see me help hurt out my recruiting timeline and career, I guess you would say. Luckily, Princeton was the first Ivy League to reach out to me, and they were the first ones to give me an offer. And so after upon receiving the offer, I realized that my life could like change for the better. I was when I was going through my offers, the Ivy League was always something that I never even thought about like attending a school like that. I was thinking I was going to go to a public state school, go in state, cheapest option. If football didn't work out because I got recruited so late, like I didn't even know I was going to get recruited as well. And then just having that thought of like, there's so many people in my community who have gone to college, and some of them even went to play in the NFL, but there was nobody that I knew who went to the Ivy League. And I always stood out with my peers for like my academics. And I felt like, for one, I wanted to inspire people that there's like an alternate path. Like luckily I was able to have both education and sports, don't get me wrong. But a lot of people, including myself, didn't even know what a Princeton was. They recruited me and said #1 school. I was like, what? Like why have I never heard of them before? But then once they started like talking to me, and I got the offer, more people were like, oh, like congratulations on Princeton. And I was like, oh, like this is like kind of like a big deal. And just like talking to my peers and talking to adults and really like set me down and understood like the magnitude of like what I could do. Not only that, the players in my recruiting class were the only ones that reached out to me during recruiting, which was pretty big because I felt like I had connections with the coaches, but that was with every other team. But the fact that players reached out and I was able to understand their stories. Samuel Lamoth, Jadaris Carr, Will Reed are all like 3 people I talked to and was really like, I was happy that they reached out, and I was like, why'd you commit to Princeton? They really told me their story, and I felt like that's a brotherhood that I could get behind. So it was a pretty easy choice for me. At the time, I wanted to be an engineer, so we had a good engineering school. We were just coming off Ivy League championship. I felt like felt the most love from Princeton, so it was like an easy decision for me.
That's awesome. I mean, that is something that they talk about, just like the brotherhood of being here, of the guys here, but also the guys afterwards. It's something that is a big part of the Princeton pitch is why Princeton, they're like, oh, like the network and the people that you meet and the opportunities that you get. And you don't really appreciate it until you get older. You're like, oh, that's cool. Like, yeah, like I think I could get behind that. And then you go through your experience here and you're like, whoa. Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that over the 4 years I've come to appreciate a whole lot more is the awesome people behind you. And it's not just about getting you a great job. It's people that actually care about your well-being and want to see you succeed in whatever it is, whether it be your career, your football career, your work career, or just life in general, which has been super awesome because they care about you as like a person.
Right.
But yeah, so you get to Princeton. Well, before backing up a little bit, I remember the first time we met you. The outside linebackers were on a Zoom call. I don't remember why we were on a Zoom, but we were on a Zoom call, and you hopped on. You had your long hair. He had a massive beard.
Yeah.
He looked like he was like 30 plus years old, and everybody, he was just eating out of this big tub too, and looking angry. We called him Unk. After that, he got his nickname Unk because we were like, he's got to be like 35 with 3 kids. It was insane.
No, my thought process going in was just, in my head, I was like, if I let my like hair grow out, I'm gonna like intimidate my like teammates as much as possible. Like in my head, I was like coming out to kill and take a position spot. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna show them like I'm eating this massive bowl of food and like I'm getting this protein in, like I'm getting big. Like I don't know what I was thinking. Look back at it, I'm like, it didn't matter. But like in my head, I was like, I'm doing whatever it takes to like look as big as possible, look as intimidating as possible.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so it didn't work out, but you know.
No, that was hilarious. It's just like stuck out all as one of the early memories. Like that is the like main first memory I have of you. Is that Zoom call. But you get here, and great athlete, by the way. Someone who's probably before his injuries was probably one of the fastest guys on the team. And as you get here, you start playing, and then you start having back problems. Walk me through kind of like when that started and kind of how you've been attacking that.
Yeah, so I would say I ran track my senior year of high school, and that's when I first noticed like back issues. But like as an athlete, you think like, oh, it's just like a little hiccup, and I didn't really take it seriously. And so it lingered around, and, you know, you take ibuprofen, you stretch, and you just kind of go through it. And then our first home game, I think, we played Stetson, and I was able to get in, and like we were beating them really bad. And I don't know, there was a play where I went to like go turn, and like I got hit in a weird way, and it did not feel right. And once again, I was just thinking like, oh, like this is what's happening when you go against college athletes, like you're going to be sore. And so then I went to go, we were lifting the next day, and I went to go clean, and that's like when the actual injury happened. I had a herniated disc, was on the floor, could not move.
That was scary.
Didn't know if I was like paralyzed truthfully because I couldn't feel my legs going down. It wasn't until like 4 minutes later when I could like wiggle my toes, and I was like, okay, like I'm no doctor, but I feel like this is good. And it was very confusing because it's like I didn't even know like my back could feel like that. Like I had like no idea what happened. Go to the training room, they were like, okay, this is more serious. Go to Makash, which is our university hospital. They're like, no, this is more serious. Go to the actual like hospital off campus. Cannot move. None of the painkillers are working. And then found out like I had a herniated disc. And so with herniated disc, there's like a lot of like non-invasive measures. So I just spent the next, basically that whole season just trying to get right, listening to the trainers, trying out different things. But it started to get better a little bit. And then I went home for Thanksgiving, and I had like a tough plane ride. And then it seemed like all of the work I just put in like went away. Like it was back to like week 2 pain. And so we had sprints, we were running 300s, and like I was running good, and I couldn't even like touch the line. And I was like, okay, like this is just like not good. So we go back to like the drawing board and try to just like take it slow. Like they do, we knew it was a herniated disc, but we didn't know how bad it was. So I got like an MRI, and then we figured out like how bad it was. So then spent the next 11 months rehabbing. It wasn't until the next season, week 5, that I came back. And that was like one of my lowest times, like not knowing if I was like ever going to come back, like the progress being slow, like spending 1 to 2 hours a day in the training room and not knowing if this is like even worth it, or like frustrated with like why I wasn't able to see results. And then in my personal experience, looking back, like I would like rush it. Like every time I seen like the green light, I would like come back too quickly and thinking that like I'm Superman and back to my old self. And I just wasn't able to get to my old self. So going back into the middle of sophomore year, came back, everything was good. Participated in spring ball, had a little hiccups, but wasn't gone for more than a week. And then I was like ready to play my junior year. I was like, okay, first 2 years are out the way. Like they don't really matter anyway. Like this is the time to ball. And then I couldn't even get out of camp. Trying to stop Jalen Travis, 6'9", 300 plus on the edge. He like wore my back out. Yeah, and I just like, I cannot play like this. And so then we started taking like medicine. We started taking steroids, and even like through the steroids, I could still feel it. And so then kept trying, but then I just like called it after junior year because I've been trying to get back for 2 years, but in the process and along the way, like I learned like so much about myself, and it really gave me the time to think about what's after football, because I don't think I would have had the opportunity to like explore all the things I was able to explore with the additional time that I had, just thinking about like my next steps, knowing that like, football is not going the path that I expected. So like now what's next?
How did you just, I mean, that's just so much, that's tough mentally to just rehab that long and have it feel like it was all for nothing. Like, how did you face that? And what were the things that kept you positive, that kept you up? Because it's so tough. This school wears you down mentally. It does. It's stressful and it's tough. I mean, you having on top of the academic stress and social and so on, this stress of not knowing, am I going to be able to play again? Am I going to be all right? And even like, am I even going to be able to ever go back to my normal stuff for like the rest of my life, regardless of football or not? How did you overcome those things?
Yeah, definitely would say the biggest thing is my teammates. I felt like truthfully, I feel like a loser, like a disappointment. Like, dang, like my parents spend so much time for me just to not be able to play. Like my friends, I thought I was like, my way of being a role model was to show that like I can make it out of where I went to high school, Clarksville, Tennessee, where not many people leave the area. So I was just like, my whole purpose of trying to be like a role model, inspiration, like it's like out the window. And just even like people would be like, oh, like how's football going? And I would went and say like I was hurt. I was just like, it's going good, and kind of like disregard it. But the teammates were just like, oh, I feel for you. I feel bad. Like I know you want to be out here, because there's, I'm not like participating, so it's very hard to even like feel like a part of the team. Like I was like, I don't have like a contribution. Like I'm just like a injured player on the side while everybody else is like getting better and developing. And then once I started picking up other roles on the team, such as like signal calling for the defense, then that's when people are like I'm happy that you're still on the team. I'm happy you found a way to support us, be around your brothers. And I was talking to some of the underclassmen. They said it was like an inspiration that no matter like the struggles that I was going through, like I kept on trying to come back. Like they saw how much I was in the training room. They saw like me doing workouts and like my like off time. They saw like the work I was putting in to come back, and they just respected it. And even me, like I sort of at a certain point enjoy the thought of just like not giving up, just like in the face of like adversity, like waking up every day and be like, hey, like we're gonna do all that we can do to come back. And just like motivated me and translated to like other parts of my life where I was trying to make the most out of every day, and honestly just be grateful, because I mean, despite that, the fact that like I couldn't play the season that I wanted, I still was able to get into a Division I football game. I still met like amazing people. I'm still got admitted into this amazing school where I'm making like the most of my opportunities that not a lot of people have. So it really became self-motivating and just really like appreciative of the opportunities that I still had, and realizing that football is just like a part of my identity. And it helped me build the character that I have today. So
yeah, that's awesome. And I think that honestly, your route is even more inspirational. It's hard to like see it in the moment, but being someone who, like you said, where sports and these other aspects are so big, parts of your life to be able to go somewhere like Princeton, and help people see that life is so much more than footballs, and help people see how to overcome and go through adversity. I think that that's super inspirational to just remind people of just like how you can continue to pursue other things in life. Football eventually will end, and you had to go through that a little faster than everybody else, but that doesn't change your mindset. And I really like what you said about embracing the kind of concept of controlling what you can control.
Right.
And it's really interesting how tough times can really grow you. And this is, I think I come from a Christian background. It's like God gives you trials and tribulations, not because he wants your life to be hard, but he wants to make you stronger. And it's really powerful to see how that has worked in your life. There's been a lot of health issues in my life, and like you said, having to be able to look at it as an opportunity to grow and an opportunity to be more grateful for the opportunities you have. I mean, like you said, you go to the best school in the world.
Right.
That's something that often you forget when you're going through these other things. You go, you get a great education. You have this great group of guys that are here to support you. And it's so easy to forget it. I think it's super inspiring to hear your story.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Another thing is just like, I was talking to somebody and he transitioned my like thought process of saying like, why me? Because I was asking myself that, like, why me out of all the people that had to get hurt, into like, why not me? Because the external situation like didn't change. Like I was hurt, like I wasn't playing football, but then it was like, okay, like what am I gonna do about it? And just try to make the most of the free time that other players like don't really have the opportunity to have. So yeah, no, it just a mindset shift that really like helped me. But it's not easy, like telling yourself to like do the things what you want to do and like not feel sorry for yourself. Like, yeah, like I was sad for a moment, but just trying to find like the happiness and the joy and make the most of the opportunities that I still have, because football is just one opportunity really like helped me out in my college career.
Yeah. And then like you said, just avoiding that victim mindset of why me, I don't deserve this. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned from the person who shaped me the most probably in my life is my dad. He grew up in a very, very tough situation. Abusive dad, very, very low income neighborhood. But they were even evicted out of their house. Kind of, it was a rough upbringing. Right. But he had one big mentor in his life when he got to high school, his freshman year, Coach Jackson. And when he was evicted out of his house, the first thing he did was they had to pack up as much of their stuff as they could, put it in a car, and go to a motel to try to hold over for now. And first thing he did was do his homework and figure out how he was going to get to school the next day. And when he got to school, he went to see Coach Jackson, and Coach Jackson said, you can shed a quick tear, but you have to keep going because you can't feel bad for yourself. You have to keep pushing. The moment you feel bad for yourself is the moment that you start to fall apart, and because you can only make things worse. So you have to say, like, what can I control? What can I make better? And bring that mindset, like you said, when it comes to football, but also to life, is just huge. And it's definitely like so inspiring to hear stories like yourself, to hear from my dad. But you talked about this gave you an opportunity to look at a lot of other things outside of football. A lot of cool opportunities. You've been in leadership positions throughout sports, but also just in special communities. One of them in particular is like the Black student athlete, like and I know you mentioned you were in the Black Gen with finances. Can you tell me a little bit more about those opportunities that you got into and other things that you found to fill your time with?
Yeah, so I figured out that I love to help people as best as I can due to sharing my story of me being injured. I was talking to, there's like a little injured group chat that we used to talk to in circles, just talk about our injury and like the traumas that go with that and like the mental health issues that go with that. And at that point that I joined, like I was pretty like mature about the injury, and my injury was one of the like only like permanent ones you can say. So that gave me like a unique perspective, and it realized that like my story and my words could like impact people, because I was really encouraging people like do all they can and not to feel discouraged about their situation and understand that it's part of the sport. And then I joined a program called the Make a Play Foundation, which is a off-campus organization that helps minority athletes get into competitive industries. Did that my sophomore year. So it's like finance, consulting, tech, law, and one more that I don't know off the top of my head. And so that like gave me the opportunity to talk to other minority student athletes, get to understand their stories, and I was just able to help them out. And that program introduced me to so many career options that I didn't even know of. Like when I first was thinking of finance, I was thinking, oh, like bank tellers and a CEO. And I didn't really understand like how many positions that there actually are within like a bank and like all the different like job opportunities. And I feel like since I had that love of helping people back, like I try to educate other people about the different opportunities that are out there. And I got about 7 of our teammates to join. So Deshaun, Nas, Noah, Namdi, Tari, I think two more, Evan, joined Make a Play Foundation as well, which I was not one of only 2 Princeton people to be a part of the program. And so that helped them, I guess, open their eyes to like the finance world and opportunities that are out there. And then I was a part of Black Gen, which is the only minority finance club on campus, and which is like as a sophomore, you have like an 8-week finance course taught by juniors or seniors, and then your junior year, you're actually part of like the investment fund, looking at like stocks to pitch, and hopefully like the organization will like invest in them. Also became the president of the Black Student Athlete Collective here. The decision was that I got invited to speak at a conference in LA called the Black Student Athlete Summit, and I spoke there to talk about mental health of what it's like being a Black in the Ivy League. And when I was able to connect with other leaders in similar positions, I realized like how much we can bring back to campus, and that if other organizations are having programs like this with probably less funding than us, truthfully, then like we can do something. And I always wanted to make Princeton better than how I left it. So I felt like in this way, like I can play a part of that goal. Also, I understood that like I was hurt, so I have more time to dedicate to building like this like community to help minority athletes like myself. And so in a way, I just like I saw the opportunity, I saw the vision, and I felt like everything in the world was telling me to like go after it. And so me and Adora, she's on the basketball team. We share presence, so we're co-presidents. We try to build a change on campus and have programs and let people know that like they have a community on campus. So,
and that's really like touching on something that I want to touch on, is just like that feeling of being imposters, that you don't belong in certain spaces. And a lot of just athletes in general at Princeton, they're like, oh, I got here for athletics, I didn't get here for academics. Struggle with that feeling that they're not competent. But also, like you talked about, there's so many of these work spheres where traditionally Black or minorities haven't been very prevalent. I know my older brother, he works in finance. He works in Northwestern Mutual, and his, I think, office is like the only office with like a Black director or like head of office in the country. And so just what has that been like for you to attack this sphere, and how have you approached it? I know when you first got here, it's probably different than what you think about. What have been some of the ways that you've been able to overcome that?
Yeah, so definitely Princeton's way different than like my high school. And that took some adjusting, because like you have this feeling of like, do I belong here? Or for me, it was like, how did I even get here? And then for me, I came in BSc, so I wanted to be a automotive mechanical engineer. And so even in like my classes, I was like one of the only like Black kids in there. I would say what really helped is just telling my story and not being afraid to be who I am. A lot of like this time, like we have like these misconceptions in our head that like people think of us this way without like really getting to know us. And so there's just a point where like I was like, I didn't even care that I didn't take like the AP classes as my peers. Like I didn't care that I didn't have like these things. I like made it to Princeton. Like I had to convince myself that I belonged here. And once I like got over that hump of saying like maybe like I don't belong here, or not having that confidence, like things changed. And so as I was able to like connect with people or like tell people my story a little bit more, then I just like gained like confidence and was like, okay, like I know how to meet people halfway now. Like I know how to, maybe me and this other person don't understand each other fully and live separate lives, but just by constant conversations within the classroom, it helped me out so that in like any situation that I'm in, any environment that I'm in, I'm able to connect with the people just by being genuine, authentic, and respectful. And for the most part, like I feel like people can see that these like emotions coming from me, so that they're willing to like open up about themselves too and really like understand their story. And so just like just having that like knowing that you like belong in these spaces and knowing that like you can make a difference and that there's like something special about you, like there's a reason that you're here, even if you don't see it, and maybe it's not your job to like see it either, but other people will see it, and it's good enough to get you in whatever situation that you're in. And I believe in God too, so I believe like God is going to put you in situations that you belong to be in, whether you like it or not. So yeah, I just being myself and really trying to get outside my comfort zone. And
and that's exactly what I was about to say. I think one of the biggest things is just not being afraid to fail, because especially at Princeton, like everybody seems like their lives have been so put together and they're doing everything right. But you have to recognize, and this is where it's like you talked about being vulnerable with one another, like things are tough. It's not all sunshine and rainbows all the time, and you're not going to have every answer. You have to also recognize that I quickly learned that even the smartest people in the world don't have all the answers either. And they're just like you. They're coming here to learn, because if they had all the answers, they wouldn't be here anymore. And so you're on the same page, and it's how quickly can you grow and overcome. And one of the best ways to do that is to put yourself out there to fail, because then you learn even faster. And so being engaged, asking questions, those things kind of help you elevate your game, so to say. And that starts with, like you said, being genuine, like being who you are. You don't have to worry about trying to fake that you're know this or know that or are this or are that. You just got to ask questions and try to be the best you that you can be. That's kind of something that I've learned.
Going on top of that, like I forgot to mention this, but I would ask for a lot of help. And like for the most part, like like 99% of the time, like somebody was willing to help me out, or if they couldn't help me out, they recommended me somebody that could. And so when I was trying to get into the finance industry, I was asking like a lot of questions, like where do I study? Like what news articles do you look? Like what do you think about when you interview? How would you respond to this? And then naturally, like people were gravitated towards like my genuine curiosity and my willingness to put myself out there. I applied to 60 banks and only got one offer. So like that goes to show like you cannot can't take no for answer. We just got to keep on like pushing and not let failing stop you, because failing is just an opportunity.
It's just a moment for growth.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that helped me out a lot.
I totally agree with the asking for help. And I think that goes back to not being willing to fail, because that's just saying that I don't know everything. It's being able to recognize your limitation and having the humility to go and ask for help. Like people, that is one of the biggest things you learn here. I've learned here for sure, is to go ask, whether it be teachers or in Princeton's case, a lot of times even alums. And that's one of the secret weapons, or not so secret weapons, that Princeton has, that really is a big reason for their success, is the tight-knit alumni community. I can say that I know personally a lot of different alums, and they're not just like recent in the last 10 years. I know guys that graduated in like 79, 80.
Yeah. Some old dudes.
Yeah, who
Yeah.
are super excited to help you because they recognize that you want to get better. You want to improve and you have a desire to be the best version of yourself, and they can recognize when you're being genuine, not just transactional, which is big. But they have, I mean, shouting out some of the guys, like, I mean, you got Jim Petrucci was awesome this past year and was a big part of me having the opportunity when I had to take out the spring and the summer to work in the private equity sphere and learn about that sphere in general. But also, he wasn't just interested in me becoming great in the private equity kind of space. He was interested in how I'm doing personally. Every single time he talked to me, he asked me how I'm doing, how my family's doing, and make sure that everything's all right on that front. And that was really just like awesome because, I mean, it just made me feel like he cared about me, not just as what I want to do in career, like check that box off, but how you doing? Like, you are part of that brotherhood. And so it really is special. And these guys are here to help you. You just got to be humble enough to go ask for help.
Right. That's it.
So that's one of the magic pieces of being at Princeton. What are some of the other things that you say you've really come to appreciate over your time at Princeton?
Just the opportunities. Like, you never know who's going to be a guest speaker coming into campus. You never know, like, what clubs are running an organization. Like, I'll just go to like a random like dance concert and just see like all these amazing people who are like some of the best dancers in the world, best piano players in the world. Everybody has like their little niche that like they do, and you would like be able to like meet some amazing people just having a conversation with somebody you never thought like would be doing such spectacular things. So definitely the other students, the how gifted and wise and educated our professors are. Like, I know that they have like certain like disciplines, but like when you think about what it takes to be a Princeton professor and really get to know like their experience, like they've helped me out a lot to think about like what I want to do and really got to understand like what I'm good at.
I would say one of the most underrated ones is just the great conversations you have, like you said, with students. I think people don't understand, like, yeah, you want to have great professors and you want to have great sports and these other things, but you want to surround yourself with people that will push you in an environment that will push you to challenge yourself and to grow. I know that for me, I'm a big conversations, discussion-based kind of learner. And it's been awesome to be able to have in class those really cool discussions. Right now I'm in a class called High Tech Entrepreneurship, and each week we talk about case studies. It's almost like business school. And every single week, someone will have a question or a comment that leaves me like, wow, like, that's a really good point.
Yeah, exactly.
It just opens up your horizons to like think about things in a completely different way. And having great people to learn with is a huge and I think super underrated part of being able to learn. Like that is huge.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of advantages that people can take going to a school like this. Just being able to argue and debate against some of the smartest people in the world. Like, I've gotten embarrassed in class a couple of times, but I gotten better from it. So really just tapping into the resources.
So what does your next chapter look like after Princeton? And kind of how has Princeton really gotten you to where you want to be? Like,
accepted my job offer at JP Morgan. So I've been doing that the past 2 summers. And now I'm going back to them to work there full time. And I would say just for one, like from the football perspective, like all of the traits that you learn, like we had a project and all my team members, like we did bad on it. And for me, I had that next play mentality, and like my other peers were kind of like upset that we didn't do as good, especially for how hard we worked on it. Just like my attention to detail, like I'll always walk around with like a notebook and a pen taking some notes. And in football, like we're encouraged to always like have notes when we're in meetings and stuff. And it's like these little like traits and habits that I gained from football that I was able to put myself in the workplace. and also like from an academic standpoint, like I'm in these rooms where I'm not the smartest person because I'm just an intern, but to be able to offer something for the other analysts and associates at the job has helped me stand out as an individual. My ability to really like learn from other people and still ask questions and learn how to like network at an efficient rate. And it's not just like I'm talking to people just to, you know, advance my position, but really like getting to know them, get to know their story. And it helps me be more personable because it makes me somebody they want to be around with. And Princeton will throw a lot of work at you and expect you to like figure it out. And I feel like now, like whenever I come across a problem, like I have like the tools necessary in order to fix this problem, even if I don't know anything about it. Like I know like where to start, make a game plan on how I'm gonna like tackle that obstacle, and those traits like really help me out in the workforce. So yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you hopping on here. It was awesome to hear more about your story again, and to be able to share it with some other people about how you overcome things and how this community has been able to support you and how help you grow into the resilient man that you are. I think that's a wrap. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate
you, Mark.
Thank you.